Hello, this is Mirko Roman, and this is my political YouTube channel. I just started and hope it will be good. Here we'll talk about politics in Russia, how it works, why, and why it's important to know it for other countries. I'm free to any feedback and will be happy if you tell me what you like, what you don't like after listening this audio, and feel free to tell me anything about it. So we will start to talk today about some important news on this week from Russia, and one of these news is a movie, Death of Stalin. It made a really big, it's a big thing in Russia, and one of the problems that there are still a lot of people who thinks that Stalin wasn't as bad as Hitler, for example, and government didn't get a permission to cinemas to show this movie in Russia. It's not banned in Russia, but cinemas can't use this movie in the theaters. That's kind of annoying, but still a lot of people support it. Some people from government, Medinsky is a head of government of culture, says that nobody cares about this movie. This movie is bad and nobody wants to watch it. I didn't watch it yet. I downloaded it. I will watch soon. But my personal opinion is that it's ridiculous and it's stupid to ban any kind of movie, because let people decide what they do like or what they don't like. Another thing that I have again with this situation is, as usual, socialist country doesn't want other people to have their own freedom, to have their own responsibility. Government wants to be responsible for everyone, for every citizen, and decide what is good for them and what is bad for them, what is really bad in all terms, and it really makes me sick. Another thing, that 6th of March was a day when Stalin died, and liberals in Russia going crazy. Some of them are happy that Stalin died, some of them are upset that other liberals are happy because they say, well, Stalin won because he died peacefully in his flat without any kind of payment for his sins, and etc. And I just don't understand what's big of the deal about it. Like, man died who knows how many years ago. Why we still need to talk about it? And I think Stalin and Soviet Union in general will be, for all generations of people who live in Russia, the same problem as slavery for America. Because a lot of people thinks that Soviet Union was good and nothing was bad about it. A lot of people thinks that, well, yeah, it was bad, but at least it was our problem and nobody should blame it for us, only we can. Other people think, oh, that's terrible, everyone who has any kind of connection to communists should be killed, etc, etc. And the country is really split off because of this problem, and it's sad, because when we have right now kind of non-classical dictator, it's really difficult to create a strong coalition when this coalition can decide what they think about Stalin. And that's one of the reasons why Putin's still in power, because we don't have a proper opposition, because they want to fight about such things like, is it good or bad that Stalin died? Another controversial thing what happened this week, because we still have communists, a lot of communists and Communist Party, they have an event on death of Stalin. They brought 8,000 flowers to his monument. And again, country split, but I think it's a stupid topic to discuss. One on the half of the country says, what's wrong with you guys? Stalin was a dictator, he killed a lot of people, why are you doing this? Another half of the country says, well, that's normal, Stalin was a good guy, we should do this. I personally think they don't use government money, so who cares? I mean, it's really just people support them and donate money for these flowers, and they are allowed to do this. I personally upset with this thing, but who am I to tell other people whom they should like? So I don't know. That's again one of the weirdest thing in Russia. The topic everyone wants to fight with each other, but not really worth it, because we still have a kind of dictatorship in our country. So to another news. We have this great woman, Zakharova. She's a main person in main person of how to say it in Russia. So she's in government, and she's responsible for different connections with other countries with abroad, and with diplomacy, etc. And she's just terrible because she always says a lot of stupid stuff. For example, in Argentina, they found in Russian embassy 400 tons of cocaine. What was terrible, and it's still terrible, and it's just disgusting. Russian ambassador used his power to use government property and to sell drugs. And she said, well, I don't think there is any problem with this. It's not about reputation, it's just about one bad person, and I completely disagree with her. Another thing was that she said, so I don't remember who was it, I think it was Huckabee Sanders. She said that she doesn't want to take question from Russian news channel. What is fine, because she has the freedom to do this, why not? It's her choice. But Zakharova said the worst argument you can ever hear from Russian government. In Russia we call this argument is killing blacks. So the idea is that when we have any kind of problem in Russia, Russian government always says, well, but in America they had the segregation times, or they had slavery. It's like, yeah, we know about it, but what about our problem? It was a bit another thing, but so Huckabee Sanders decided not to ask Russian journalists, because she said, you are a propagandist, I don't want to talk with you, you make propaganda, and that's fine, that's her choice, she's a person, she has free will, she can do this. So Zakharova said that it's very difficult to understand Americans, because they still want to segregate everyone as they segregated black people from white, and they still want this segregation. So if Americans will continue to do this, we will start to segregate American journalists from others, and all the other words that are just stupid, and that's not doing any good for Russian reputation. And I don't understand why she's doing this. It looks extremely stupid and upset. Another topic, Ksenia Sobchak, one of the women who is a candidate for presidency. She claims that Crimea is Ukrainian territory, what is kind of stupid, because mostly of people in Russia support invasion in Crimea, and at least maybe they don't support, but they all admit and accept that Crimea now is a Russian territory. So it's not very good idea to say that Crimea is not belongs to Russia, but it's again whatever. So she asked Crimean embassy if she could go there or not, and today even Crimean embassy said that it's just a political schizophrenia, because everyone understands that Crimea is Russian, and nobody understands why she wants to do this. As a political candidate, that's a very, very bad move, but we'll see how it goes. Another interesting candidate we have is his surname is Grudinin, and he is going from he's going for Communist Party. And our commission that we have one weird commission that, because we're social countries, we have a lot of commissions that are responsible for a lot of useless things. So one of these commissions says that Grudinin has money in foreign countries, And that's very interesting topics because in this very interesting topic because in these terms they could stop him for running for president because they can use it as a legal thing and say that he should or he should close this or he should take his money from foreign countries, or he should stop being a candidate. But then other people would use this situation to try sue Putin because Putin is doing kind of illegal thing. But again, I don't think anything like this will happen, and they will just continue to tell this that he has some money abroad and do nothing against him, because then it can be a problem for Putin. So I don't think anything will happen. And the most, I don't know, is it the most funny or the most sad news? We have another commission that decided they want to talk about how American government is involved in Russian inner life, and what's stupid, just ridiculous, because what they said that American created fake news and the Americans should just stop involving in Russian political life, etc. And like, I don't know, it's just amazing for me. I'm really think about it, and it's difficult to say for me how stupid it is, because literally what they said that America created propaganda, and it's the most stupid thing you can say, because propaganda exists who knows how many centuries. Nazi Germany made it one of the best in the world, then Soviet Union made it pretty good. And to say people that, oh, America has propaganda but we don't, is the most ridiculous thing to say, because of course we all our main news under government control. We have maybe China and North Korea has the biggest propaganda in the world, but we are kind of close to them. So one of the reasons, and they say that there are 10 things how America involves in our problems, and how they make problem and with which fields. For example, they politicize sport. They make Russia looks bad in political arena. They, how to say? So we have a Russian Orthodox Church, and the idea is that they created bad reputation for Russian Orthodox Church. They Americans use social interaction, Facebook, YouTube, etc. They are involved in national race, national problems. They're involved in presidential running, and they use sanctions against Russia. Every point here is stupid, as I don't have words how it is stupid. First of all, politicization of sport. Americans doesn't, I can say it here, Americans don't really interested in politicization of sports, because Russians make it so politicized. Government make it so politicized in Russia that it's just enormous level. And to blame America in this is the worst and stupidest thing in the world that nobody will believe. Another, Russian Orthodox Church, nobody involved, make reputation worse to themselves than Russian Orthodox Church. Russian Orthodox Church is the worst church in the world, and everyone in Russia knows this. Why? Because it's corrupted, because it's because it controls, because it exists only under government control completely. They're not interested in people, they're interested in only money from government. And to say that USA has any deal with this is just stupid, terrible, and again, 1,000 stupid times more. Then to say that America is involved in Russian elections, I don't understand how, why, and there is no any evidence of this. It's just some words. And of course, sanctions. Very interesting topics. But doesn't every sanction has kind of meaning? Doesn't every sanction have some kind of meaning against Russia? Yeah, I would say yes, and they have reasons for this, and they always explain why they use these sanctions. So again, I don't understand why it's here, because it's stupid. It's not USA being involved in Russian inner life. And it's disgusting to use these examples. It looks like Soviet propaganda that is very bad. And I don't like it, because Soviet propaganda is S-H-I-T. And that's true, and everyone knows this. But we are going full socialism. I hope we'll turn somewhere, but I don't think so. Whatever. It doesn't look really good, to be honest. And then a Russian bought, I don't know why, but Russian government bought shop, we call it Magnet. This shop was shop of different food stores, etc. Nobody understands why. It was a private business. Now Russia bought it and used it for political propaganda, and it's disgusting again, because why in the hell you would use money from people to buy a shop and to make a garment? Nobody understands why. Nobody understands why, and what in the hell is going on? I hope there is some reason for this. I didn't see any kind of normal explanation, and it's just very upset. And one good news. So our TSB is a kind of police service that works in Russian system. Called another group of Islamic terrorist group, what is wonderful and great, and my full support for them, because we have a region like Chechnya, Dagestan, that kind of a lot of Muslim communities are there, and of course a lot of terrorists are there too right now, and they're trying to catch them all. So good luck to them. I hope they will do their job great. And now I would like to talk about Putin and him as a candidate. So it's been 18 years. A lot of people ask, why 18 years if he was a president just 12 years? Well, it's because 8 years president was Medvedev, but nobody really believed that Medvedev was a legitimate president, so everyone says 18 years. What happened during this time? A lot of things, and we need to start from the beginning. From his first presidential running and until now, we can say that life in Russia is much better. It's difficult to say something that, this is much better than before. No, life in general is just better than 20 years ago. Is it because of Putin, or is it just because free market is kind of working, etc.? Difficult to say. On the question if we have capitalism in Russia, or we have a socialism, or what, we have quasi-capitalism with big government regulations, government involvement, so you can't really say that it's... We have a police government, where police and... police is ruling. It's very sad, but it's true. One of the things that I didn't like from Putin was he tried to... There was a phrase, we should be in 100 universities, in the top universities of the world, and how he wanted to receive this, to reach this goal, of course, with more money, and they just threw a lot of money into universities. It doesn't help at all. All universities in Russia, 90% of them are under government control. They're terrible. They're really bad. And they don't give proper education. As same as schools. Schools are really bad. Nobody likes them. Everyone hates them. And it's not going anywhere better. The problem that I have with Russia, that because of the when Soviet Union collapsed, government was kind of not very regulated, but then with every year of Putin, more and more government regulations appeared, and it's not going easy. So that's very unfortunately. Then we have, during Putin administration, we have a law of Dima Yakovleva. It's a name of child who died in America. So he was adopted American parents, and then a father forgot him in a car where he died because of the heat. This is a law against I'm not sure I know correctly the name, the list of Magnitsky. So it was we had a private business owner, Magnitsky, who died in prison in Russia, and American, maybe European countries created this list of in his name, where they put people under very great sanctions control who were involved in his death. And we decided that we need another list, and we said that now Americans, and I think everyone can't adopt children from foreign countries. Because why? Well, because government decided. The most funny thing that they said they're ready to stop this law if the list of these sanctions from Magnitsky list will be closed, and it's terrible. It literally means that they don't care about this law. They just don't like sanctions against them, and this is just a light in terms of that elitist people. Like powerful people in our government just trying to use power of government against other countries. What is really terrible. We captured Crimea. Woohoo! No, I don't care at all. I think that's a bad move, because one of the arguments I heard was that we had to capture it because we have a lot of weapons there, ships, and etc. But now, as I heard that it's completely not true, and we captured it just because we were afraid that NATO would put their army there. And it's ridiculous argument. It's just ridiculous argument, because then what? Maybe we should capture Poland back because they have NATO there, or what? It's terrible argument. I don't understand why we need Crimea. Nobody understands why. We had all the sanctions because of this, and etc. And people's life gone really low after 2014 in Russia. The level of homeless people, poor people increased dramatically, and that's all Putin's Putin's deals, and that's really bad. So, what good about Putin politics? Of course, I don't like socialism personally, but a lot of medical centers will build. Life in general gone a bit upper. Putin finished war with Chechnya, and he found a way how to make friends with them, and it's good. And as I said, life under Putin control became better. Life under Putin control became kind of better. I personally think it could be better with the proper democratic elections. Why we have only Putin? Because the problem is the same European countries has the same problem, that America doesn't have this problem, because in America parties are private one, and in a lot of countries as Russia, Spain, parties are under government control. So if you were lucky enough to get into the government pays you as many votes you have. And it's a terrible system, it's a corrupted system, and everyone should get rid of it, because it's destroyed democracy completely. And that's one of the reasons why we don't have really good oppositions. If you heard anything about Navalny, please don't trust it. I'll make another episode about him. He's a liar, he's a communist, he pretends to be liberal. That's completely not true. So a few days ago, I think even 1 week ago, Putin made some kind of statement, a lot of statements. He had a conversation for 2 hours before government. It was his speech in front of government as a president. Of course, he'll be next president again, but whatever. And what he said there, he said a lot of interesting things. And most of all, so 1 hour he was talking about economics, life in general in Russia, private business, etc. A lot of things. So he touched all the topics for 1 hour, and then for next 1 hour he was talking about weapon. But it's kind of gross because, and it's the more terrible thing for me was to look how people in audience, all the government people, bureaucrats, and etc. were happy. He received more applause during the last hour talking about weapons than before when he was talking about economics, and that's just terrible. You just see how people in Russian government really want to go back to this Soviet time when everyone was afraid of Russia just because of the weapons. And that's sad. It's not even... It's just sad. And I can't say anything else. So what he said? He said that economy is stable. False. We are in a great stagnation, just terribly. That we are democratic regime. False. He said a lot that if we will not be ready, we will not have future. In our country will not be in our country will not have future. We're ready for what? For war? What? Then he said that because we are slow in all fields like economics, this slowness is our main enemy. Again, not true. Government bureaucracy is our main enemy. And absent of democratic institutions, that is our problem. Then he said that, so Putin another thing I forgot to say, that Putin from the beginning was trying to make, so from 1990 we have a problem that in Russia more people died than people born. And he's trying to put a lot of money to change this, but it doesn't help anyway because they are trying to put all the money to mothers, to support mothers, and not dealing with the alcohol and drug problems, addictions, etc. And it doesn't work. But he said, no, everything's great. He said that life expectancy is growing. That's not true. It's declining. He said that finally we'll have reached other regions of Russia. Again, nobody believes in it because all money goes in Moscow. Why almost all Russia, except the European part of Russia, is very poor because all money goes to Moscow. One of a few things he said I really enjoyed that. First of all, he will change the flights, so we don't need to, because in Russia almost it doesn't matter where you want to go, you almost always need to go first to Moscow and then to other city. They want to change this system, and that we have atomic ships. That is great because nuclear energy is the best energy in the world, and that's great that we use it. Things that I didn't like. He said that knowledge and competitions is our best. Not competitions. Knowledge is our best, and whatever. Knowledge is our best thing in Russia, with which we will survive, and we are great because of our great scientists, etc. And that's not true. We will not survive because of our scientists. USSR has greatest scientists during this time, and do you know why we lost? We lost because we didn't have a free market. A lot of scientists from abroad always says that USSR had great scientists and they created great things, but because they didn't know how to use it, how to sell it, how to get profit from it, they all died. In their products just died, and Western scientists did their projects better because of the free market. But we don't want to believe in this because now socialism is a trend, is cool, is modern. Let's do social capitalism with a human face. That's a terrible idea. So, a lot about army and weapon and about weapon. He showed a few new weapons that nobody has. He didn't show real pictures because from my side I can understand, because he said that he can't show it because it's a weapon and we should keep it in secret. But from other hand, how do we know we don't lie? You don't lie to us. Maybe just a fiction and photos on presentation. So it's kind of gross. And again, the way he, like the first hour he was coughing all the time. He didn't look very well. Then next hour when he was talking about army, he looked so powerful, so happy. And it's sad. It's really sad. We are not going anywhere better, guys. We are really going deep back. And that's extremely sad. The amount of money they spend for all this stuff is just crazy. It's really sad. I don't see any big difference in future, and I don't think we'll have any of them. I think we are going really deep back to Soviet Union model. Of course, not Soviet Union. This like 100% the same. But it's kind of gross, and I don't think anything will be changing in sooner time. Very nice talking, like, we can do this, everything is possible, we will reach this, and this high. And I have just one question. Putin, like, you were in power for 18 years. Why we didn't reach all this yet? Why every year we hear the same thing for 20 years that we will reach, we can do this, we're great, we will do this, and blah blah blah. No, that's a stupid thing to say. Everyone tired, everyone wants to live normal life. You're not doing it better, sorry, but no. A lot of conversation that we should change our methods, we should change our clinics, and etc. and blah blah blah. Do you know why these methods and clinics is going bad and inefficient and useless? Because they depends not on the client but on the government, and when they depend on the government, they don't care, because if it doesn't matter, is it a shop, is it a school, or is it a university or medicine hospital, if it depends on government money, this thing doesn't interesting in producing good stuff. If it depends on government, if it depends on the client, it's really interested to produce as good as the service as good as possible, because the more clients are going to this place, it doesn't matter, is it a school, is it a hospital, is it a university, the more people goes to this particular place, the more profit this place will receive. If it depends on the government, it doesn't interested in any profit, because government will always send money. It became very weird structures. For example, schools more interested in good tests and not knowledge of their pupils. The same for university. The same for example, hospitals. They don't really interested in how good they treat their clients, but for, I don't know how many people were in this clinic or some stupid stuff like this. I really think that there was one really dangerous phrase that I think is very dangerous. It was a phrase that nobody wants to listen to us before, but we were a nuclear regime. Well, you should listen us. You should listen us now. And everyone in the audience stand up and started to clap. This is a terrible phrase to say. You're a president of a country with a nuclear weapon. Everyone already doesn't like us again. Why you're doing this? I think the most problem in Russia is like everyone missed this feeling of empire, and they're all trying to have it back. And it's not going to help in normal life of Russians. And it's really, really bad rhetoric. On the maps where Putin showed how the distance of the weapons, somehow he didn't show how these rockets and missiles are going to Africa or India, Asia. Somehow he used it, or South America. He used it with the North America, what is again disgusting move, and everyone understands why he did it, and that's bad. And another thing that Putin said, we had a soldier who died, and Putin said one phrase: "Such people as this soldier, they will never have." This terrible, 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 1,000 more terrible thing to say. Every country has their heroes. Every country has their stories about heroes. Why you need to say that we are unique? We are the only nation with the great heroes, and all of them are just miserable and terrible, and they don't really like their nation. Only we like our country and our nation. That's a terrible thing to say. Why you need to polarize world that already polarized? We don't want to have any conflicts. Nobody wants to fight, especially in Europe, especially with Russia, especially with America. The modern world doesn't want to have big conflicts. Why you need to make it worse back? So his speech to the audience wasn't really good. As a Russian, I would say, I don't think it's going really back to Soviet Russia or something, but it's kind of not very nice move to do. And I can understand that all leaders were kind of shocked and say, Russia, calm down, what's going on? It was very interesting reaction from Europe and from America. So if America said that, okay guys, we already knew all this information, we are prepared, the Europe was, oh no, we should talk. And the problem I have personally, that Europe is a more socialistic country. And I said Europe because it's all one country, almost. And they all kind of support Russia in their socialism, but don't support them in their dictatorship. And the thing I want to say, it's the same thing. Socialism and dictatorship is always going very close to each other, and it's not really a good idea to mix it. So, if you're Russian, in case you listen this, if you want to vote for Putin, if you want Russia being an empire, if you want it to be strong in field of army and all this military stuff, if you agree with Putin being a president forever until you die, he's your president. And I know that a lot of people really agree with these arguments. If you want more freedom, if you want more free market, if you don't want to be afraid of police, I don't think that Putin is your real president. That was all. Thank you for listening to me. I would be happy to listen your advice, feedbacks, and see you on Friday.